down in Funkland. I'm Frederick Von Douglas Moonshorts III. That's a made-up name, of course. My name is Frederick Douglass Shorts. My father thought about the abolitionist Frederick Douglass and named me after him. And I'm very grateful for that because it gave me an insight on life. He said, if you're going to do something, be the amazing Doug Shorts, be the fantastic Doug Shorts, don't just be Doug Shorts. My passion is music. Ever since my mother bought a piano when I was maybe about 9 years old.
Well, I bought a piano and tried to get him to take music lessons, and he was memorizing it, and he wasn't learning. He just would memorize what they told him to do, and then the teacher told me I was wasting money giving him lessons.
My memory was too good, so I learned to play by ear rather than reading the notes. My teacher used to beat me on the hands with a ruler because I would memorize the notes and play them. She said, no, say the notes as you play. My mother had 6 brothers, and we all lived together. And they were like a barbershop quartet. They sang beautiful harmonies. They loved to drink, fight, and sing. Not necessarily in that order, but singing was always part of the household. So
every evening they used to get together and sing, and he wanted to sing with them, and they didn't let him.
I mean, you're too small, you're too young, you know. I say, okay, I'll fix you guys one day. I'm gonna be a real singer. I'm gonna sing, and when you guys are not singing, I'm gonna be singing. You know, people are gonna pay me to sing. And so they kind of pushed me into wanting to do music.
Trouble child, just be strong. You got to make it on your own. Trouble child, hear what I say. Keep your head up, you'll be okay.
And Racine Bailey, he was a much better piano player than me. We went to the same church. And I decided to recruit him to play. Then we found another guy, Lucius Dobbs. He sang really well. He was a good dancer. We formed a group, the Mannequins. And we sang at high school talent shows. And we got lucky and started working sometimes at night over in Old Town. It was a new development. Old Town was a part of Chicago where tourists came. And so we got working in some of the nightclubs over there. One thing led to another. The group got bigger. We got our own band. Nobody had a car, so all our friends, we'd get together, pick up the drums and the amplifiers, and we carry them down to the Park District and rehearse. The traveling band came through town, and my guitar player, Joe, he was playing with these guys called James Clark Review. He asked me, did I want to go out and make some money singing with James Clark, so I went with him. We nearly starved. We stayed out on the road with James Clark, and James Clark was a big crook. He never paid us, you know. Our pay was dinner. We worked for free. We worked for food. Yeah, we worked for about a year with James, and he came up with all kind of fantastic stories of what happened to the money, why we never got paid. But we always ate very well. No money, but we ate good. So I confronted James about not paying us. I said, look, from now on, we got to be included on the business. When you make a deal, we got to be there when you shake hands or sign the contract. And he refused to let us be involved in the business. So I told him, well, okay, I quit then. I'm not working with you anymore. So I told Dino and Joe, I said, look, I'm going back to Chicago, and we're going to start our own group. I'm going to come get you guys in a couple of months. We're going to have our own thing. Fuck James. And we formed Master Plan with myself, Dean, and Joe. And we took a guy from the Fugitives, the same group Archie was in, the Fugitives, they're a very well-known group. The bass player and the singer came over with us, and we formed Master Plan Incorporated. And we picked up another young lady, Joanne Addison, another female vocalist. And that was the basis of Master Plan Incorporated.
I'm standing here clapping, my heart's about to break, and now my heart bleeds with every beat. You're telling me that you're leaving me. My heart bleeds, oh it really bleeds, from all the things that you're telling me.
We go into Joanne's house. Joanne was the singer in the group in Master Plan Incorporated. She was the original singer. I haven't talked to her in 30 years until about a month ago.
down.
Oh, I'm ringing the bell.
I think everybody was really just good, doing what they were doing, And the people just loved it, We always had like a really packed house, Maybe 500 people, or some nights you might get 1,000 people,
Well, traveling on the road was a trip. We had to borrow somebody's van or station wagon and rent them. A lot of times we rented. If we couldn't rent a van, we'd rent a big truck and put all the equipment in the truck and then get somebody with a car to drive us there to the job. And we just made do. And actually, there was a guy, we did a gig in Minneapolis, and this guy owned a Ford dealership. And he seen that we didn't have transportation, so he actually gave us a station wagon as a bonus, the gig that we did for him. He paid us and said, you guys need a car. So he gave us the raggediest thing he had on his lot. It was a station wagon, a Ford Econoline wagon or something, and we drove that sucker from that point on. And we weighed it down. It was like weighed down with equipment and clothes, everything, all of us. It was crazy looking.
I think we were headed to Canada. I thought maybe Detroit, but Doug said Canada. And I think they had all the clothes or something on top of the car. And for some reason, all of my clothes flies off of the car. And when we get there, I don't have any clothes to wear. Now, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna wear for the show? All of my show clothes is gone. But the guys, they were really nice. They helped me out, buy more clothes or something because you got 2 shows a night.
Oh, we're going to see Joe Stevenson, the guitar player from Master Plan, my oldest and dearest musical friend, the guy who's been playing with me ever since I ever sang. First time I ever got on stage, Joe played, and he's still my guy to this day.
Well, me and Doug go back like over 50 years. We were out playing music in a Gainway, and Doug happened to be passing by, and we ended up playing some music, and Doug ended up singing, and we just clicked. Ever since we just clicked and we started working together on a permanent basis. Being an all-black group, especially back in that day, wasn't, it wasn't, all of that successful at times because there was so much racism. You had to pretty much be in a mixed group unless you had a hit record out. And at this point, we were in Kalamazoo, Michigan, when we hit a club. It was a predominantly white club. After a couple of days of working there, we ended up losing that particular gig because we had an all-black group and we were doing all-black music. That's just something that, just wasn't too acceptable with an all-white crowd or a predominantly white crowd. You was bound to get, harassed, mistreated, stereotyped, neighborhoods you could not go through, but our people calling the police on you, just out of suspicious because you were black. And you pretty much had to really monitor and be discreet on where you could go and where to go and where you couldn't go.
Sisters and mothers, daddies and brothers, we pledge a tribute to your bitter tears for the brothers who are no longer here singing. For the brothers who are not here.
I was pretty much prejudiced myself because all the white people that I met were like policemen or teachers or something. They all had something against me, it seemed like. And I had never met any white people that were really kind to me. And so in Minnesota, I met this white boy outside of Moby Dick's, the place where everybody went to shoot pool, the pool hustlers. Not often a white dude walked up to me and asked to buy me a drink. So he just wanted me to hear his story. He had just came back from Vietnam, and he told me that he was the worst racist that you could imagine. He hated black people. And he was under fire. His platoon got under fire, and he was pinned down. Enemy gunfire had him pinned down. He said all his white friends let him stay out there to die. They said a black guy who had no business in the world coming to help him. He risked his life to come and pull him back to safety. And he said, so from now on the rest of my life, I'm going around making amends for my earlier life. So I'm going to be kind to people, you know. And he brought tears to my eyes because that was a heavy story. And I'd never met anybody like that. So it kind of changed me. Like I say, every time I get emotional because I was like him. I was dying and we were racist on the other side and he was on the other side, but we sat and had a beer and exchanged our stories and we left friends and I left with a different perspective on life.
Yeah, Minnesota was Minnesota, that was like a dream. I don't think it was half as prejudiced there as here and in other places that we went.
Well, I'll have to say Minnesota because we were there for so long at Dick's place, and it was really nice and he treated us so nice, So I would have to say there in Minnesota. Was it the Jetaway or something like that? Yeah.
That's Archie, my partner.
Living life, moving much too fast, you see. And I'm feeling nice. There ain't no reality. 'Cause I've got bigger dreams. I've been knowing Doug since I was 11 years old. I was in my cousin's band, the Fugitives. And Doug was already familiar with the Fugitives, and I met him through the Fugitives, which is my cousins. And he was singing on one of our shows, I admired him because of, his status over there on the north side, being a singer and, doing shows. And when I turned about 18 or 19, I joined Doug's group, Master Plan, and, he and I was collaborating, writing songs together, basically. Actually, I've been a drummer for the group, a singer, and a guitar player, I went to this program called INCA, Institute of New Cinema Artists, and I was taught that there's 19 steps to writing a song. And, a majority of people don't know that, but there's 19 steps from the concept until the time it's recorded. There's 19 steps in really finishing a song, from the lyrics all the way down to the, the music, and that was a nice experience also I had, as a musician,
Around 1968, we did an audition at Brunswick Records, and they were interested in 4 of the songs that I'd written. They were the first 4 songs I ever written. And Major Lance acted like he really wanted these songs so bad, so I signed a contract for these 4 songs. And unfortunately, he didn't do the songs, so they just pretty much shelved the songs and left us in limbo. So I went across the street from Brunswick to Jerry Butler's writer's workshop. We played the same 4 songs for him. He loved them, but he couldn't use them since we had already signed the contract at Brunswick, so we were pretty much caught between a rock and a hard place. We tried to finish the session at Brunswick, but we only got through maybe 3 or 4 songs before they started putting in side producers on us, house producers, and changing the deal right as we were going along. Said, these are staff people, they have to be paid. I said, yeah, I understand that. That's why I'm asking you, who's paying them, you or me? Is it coming out of our end or your end? And he didn't want to discuss it. He told me, oh, you're crazy. Because I touched on the business end of what was really going on. So he went and put the group against me. He told them, said, Doug is crazy. He's ruining your career. And so the group actually went for it. They put me out of my own group right there in the studio. And I told him, I said, okay, if that's the way you want to do it, fine, put me out, I'm out, I don't mind. But start erasing this music, because I wrote all of the songs, so you can't use them, If you use them, I sue. So they saw my side of the story, and they jumped back on my side, and we all walked out of Brunswick. And so that record never happened. We actually took the master tape to Ed Cody's studio and remastered it and put it out ourselves on our own label. It didn't really make a lot of headway, but it got us started. It was called Something to Be Done, and that's the one record that gave us notoriety.
Something
I met a young program director, Barry Mayo, and he advised me on what to do. He said, you know, you're fighting against Motown, Atlantic, Arista, all of the major labels, they all getting their records played here, so no way you're going to be able to afford it. So the best thing for you to do is start in the secondary markets. Don't try the major markets. Don't try Chicago, don't try New York. Try Milwaukee, try Gary, Indiana, you know, try Indianapolis, Indiana, try the smaller markets. And so if you build some demand on those smaller markets, then you can move your way up to the major markets. So, and plus, another gem that he gave me was that most of the DJs that work on the radio, they have a night gig somewhere. They're playing in a nightclub somewhere. So they have a lot more reach in a nightclub. They can play what they want out there and it wouldn't cost you. So you buy them a drink and they'll play your music. But on the radio station, it's not that easy. So build a relationship with the DJs in the nightclubs, and then you work your way to the radio. So that was a valuable lesson. That's pretty much how we started putting records out and moving them.
I didn't get rich or anything, but and you know, times changed. Time, changed. Whereas to you had to do other things, you know. Whereas to like nightclubs weren't like they used to be, you know.
We all kind of split up and went our different ways. It was too long to be on the road struggling, you know. If we had made some success, probably we'd have got along a lot better, but we weren't getting along too well by then. Regrouped, you know, and got some different members and tried another record, you know, and kept on the same pattern over and over again. Okay, I met Robots years after the master plan had disbanded. We had went our own ways after being on the road. We came back, everybody just went their own way. We got jobs, you know, regular 9-to-5 jobs. Okay, well, me and Arvid on the case already. So come on, man. All right, talk to you.
I make hip hop. I produce on the MPC 60, the original Roger Lynn, MPC 61. I rap. I've been in the hip hop scene in Chicago probably since like the late 90s. Got to tour the world, like went to Europe maybe 6-7 times, and been down to South America for a tour.
Crawling out the gutter, loving life, call the butter. All the other rappers whack it in me, but they on the cover of the magazine. Sell a story to the rapping scene. The man you acting like is broke, but you stacking green. The dollars ain't adding up, this don't make any sense. The mileage piling while I'm trying to make a penny stretch. Dodging violence on my city streets. Pretty please don't let me be another homicide, cause I got bigger dreams.
I was working as a doorman over on Lakeshore Drive. This guy would come in at night, 4 o'clock in the morning, smelling the weed. And he'd stand around and listen to music with me for a while. Finally, he got up enough nerve to talk to me. And I could smell the weed on him, and so I told him, hey, man, I like that cologne you're wearing.
That's the place that it all started right there. Me and Doug. He was working in the lobby. I was coming in on some bullshit.
We listened to some music. We took out a walk, smoked a joint, and we got to talking and found out he was a DJ. He found out that I actually wrote music. And he said, man, I got some friends that would love to hear your music, man. They'll pay to hear this music. So he brought a guy over, Andrew Brearley, Meaty. Meaty was thinking about starting a record label, which he actually did. That became Cherry's Records. And I was the first artist out on Cherry's Records as a result of our meeting through Robust introducing me to him, you know, from us just smoking a joint and kicking it together. So and that's how it all started.
Meaty put out a record with Doug. Numero Group put out a 45 7-inch. Jazzman UK put out an album. This guy got on the cover of the B-side of the Reader for the music. Did a whole article about him.
And there's one song I wrote called Special Love.
That's one of my favorite songs, man.
And I didn't even finish it. It was just an idea, you know. And they put it out just like that. We often laugh and joke about the fact that songs we wrote 40 years ago is just, getting recognition now, you know. And it's strange, you know. I basically giving up.
So be patient, keep chasing your dreams and be waiting. And pray the deeds don't take you to the police station. See so many walks of life when I walk in a liquor store. Lotto tickets and cigarettes, get addicted more. It's storming outside of my window pane when it rains and pours. We mourn the deaths, yet celebrate when a baby's born. I'm gone. Round my block.
It's a good one, right?
Brothers gonna work it out.
You like that, Joe?
That'll work, man.
That's it.
Brothers gonna work it all out.
I knew you had to get on this too, and I'm about to drop this album, so I gotta
Yeah,
get
that
you.
Willie Hutch line fit right there, man.
Yeah, I did.
You know, the record I found and everything, it's called Something to Be Done, you know, because obviously there was more to come. Like, and I mean, they didn't know that that's why they were writing it, but I feel like it was a kind of a sign and omen from the master plan, you know. And what I really dug about their dynamic was they were writing partners, and as a hip-hop artist, you know, you would hear that song and the first verse is Archie and the second verse is Doug, and it's like that's how rappers, you know, if you're in a rap group or you got, you know, your little duo or whatever, you know, it's like, okay, you get the first verse, I get the second verse, you know, blah blah blah. And it's like they was on the same shit as we were, you know what I mean? And it's like same dynamic with me and my friends, and it, you know, it just kind of like it kind of hit me because you don't hear that a lot, like with, you know, like a little R&B groups, like one person do a verse. Usually there's the lead singer and then everybody else does backups, and it's like they were going toe to toe with each other, and they probably fed off the competition because they were both killers, you know.
I've got bigger dreams than where I'm at. I've got bigger dreams than where I'm at.
Where I'm at today.
Yeah, we had fun. I had a lot of fun. You know, those some of my best experiences has been with Master Plan.
It was very exciting, you know. We were young and, hey, you're doing a lot of different things and, you know, I enjoyed it.
We went places that it was almost like a dream, and I've been dreaming about it ever since, and it's been years ago.
Times like that make it all worthwhile, man. You don't
Yeah,
regret.
right.
I don't regret a minute of anything we ever done.
I know you think no one cares. Wildin' out, cause life's unfair. Trouble child, your time will come. Just be patient, just be strong.
Something